What's going on, everybody? It is Wednesday, November 30th, the last day of November 2022, and it's time for this week's 2 Minutes with Jeff. So, I want to start off by saying I hope that everybody had a great Thanksgiving last weekend or last Thursday. Had a lot to be thankful for. This year was really great for me professionally, and I have a lot of new clients, a lot of past clients, a lot of referrals from clients. So I just want to say thank you to everybody, past and present, who's worked with me and put their trust in me. And I just want to give you guys a shout out, say thanks. So I want to talk about today that inflation. I know we talked about this a lot, but it's always a big topic, going on in the news and everything like that. But according to a study that I recently watched, it's actually a YouTube video, and I'm actually going to put the link in the description below. It kind of explains and paves a narrative that inflation has actually peaked. And 2023, we're actually going to see some good news. So, the recent numbers that just came out have inflation recently went from 8.3 to 7.7%. That's year over year. Okay, so you could look at it two ways: year over year and month to month. Now, when the Fed talks about inflation, when you hear these numbers 7%, they're talking over a year over year change. So 7.7% is the October number, because we're not through November yet. But so from October 2022 to October 2021, we had a 7.1% change of inflation. That's how they're calculating it. That's what the Fed pays attention to. That's what they're talking about when they're talking about raising interest rates to combat inflation. They want to get that number down to, I don't know, less than 5, 3, 4 maybe. That's like the normal. That's the number they want to see. So this guy has a lot of math and analytics, and you kind of take the politics out of it, which is nice, and you kind of just look at the data. And he says it's based on 3 factors. So combating inflation is, raising interest rates, supply, global supply of things like oil, wheat. He makes the case that China is opening back up and there's more supplies of things, which I don't know if you guys have seen, like some crazy COVID stuff going on in China, like they're locking people down again and whatever. So he makes that argument. I'm kind of on the fence about that one. He talks about the Russia-Ukraine war, which I don't even really know what's going on. It seems like it's been like a stalemate all year, but obviously there is, both countries are big exporters of materials, Russia being like natural gas and oil, and Ukraine being a lot of wheat products. And, that's affecting Europe and some parts of the global supply chain. So there's that. And then he talks about the third thing, which is really important, which he makes his case, is called the base effect. So you're going to have to watch the video to kind of see what he's talking about. And it's a 13-minute video. If you're kind of nerdy, like, it's going to fly by like me. But basically, from 2019 to I'm looking at it here on the screen. From 2019 to about March 20 or February 2021, we had a normal inflation rate. Okay, and he kind of puts it on a graph, and it's kind of like a steady normal line. Okay, that's year over year. And then we had inflation kick in, and everything kind of went in a upward trajectory. So normal is kind of like this, and then after that, it kind of went up at a faster trajectory. So that's when we were seeing these big year-to-year changes. And so when things got more expensive, let's say in July 2021, because that's when really inflation kicked in, 2021 versus 2020 numbers, it's a big difference. So now he looks at both that and also the month-to-month change. So if you look at the month-to-month data, it's actually pretty promising. Now, the month-to-month data obviously changes how much it's changed month to month. And so if you look at an average, it's usually about 0.2, 0.3, well, 0.2 is low, 0.3, 0.4% over the last 3 or 4 months. And that's a good sign because it's starting to curve. And we're seeing the last 4 months, we're seeing in the year-to-year graph that line start to flatten out. Instead of going like this, it's starting to taper off again and go back to a normal curve. And the reason for that is that now prices are high of things when they're calculating things on a year-to-year basis. Well, they were high a year ago. So like before, when inflation was crazy, 2021 prices were high because in 2020 they were low. Now in 2022, prices were high, but they were high in 2021. So now you're comparing a high number to another high number, and the change is now starting to invert the curve. Okay, it's starting to actually trend downward, which is good. And I think this is if this guy's theory and data, and like I said, I'm a big numbers person, so when this guy is explaining things and showing data and numbers, I kind of like that because you're taking a lot of outside influences out of it, but you still have to be conscious of them. Anyways, I'm predicting, if we are going to go on the same month-to-month change that we've gone for the last 4 months, okay, it's been an average of about 0.3% change. That's actually going to start to knock inflation down. And by the time, if we head on the same rate, he's projecting, let me click it here. Now, I'm not saying this guy's right, okay? I'm not saying by any means that's right, but he's using data and logic and analytics to kind of come up with something. So, okay. He's not just pulling numbers, out of thin air. He says if we're going at the same trajectory we're at now, inflation could be right around 5 by mid to next year. So that's good news. If it starts to, if it averages down where it starts to be less, which is even better news, we could be in the 3s, and that's going to be close to like normal. That's going to be close to like where the Fed wants to go, where the Fed wants to be for a year over year. So he's looking at the month-to-month data to come up with a year-to-year change. I know it kind of sounds complicated. You definitely should watch the video. Long story short, I think this is really good news. I think the Fed, it's not going to stop them from raising interest rates, but I think we've gotten to a point where it may be working. We may be starting to see the numbers in the data to show that this is starting to work. I think that's a big reason why, and I think that there's other people out there who would agree that interest rates are going to maybe we're close to the top and they're going to maybe see a small increase. And then now, once the numbers and the data starts getting better next year, as I want to be bullish on this, that it is. And, you might see interest rates start to go back down a little bit next year, but it's not going to be this year. It's not going to be we're only at 1 month left, but it's not going to be immediate. Okay. This takes time. Like it's not going to happen overnight, but right now, some of the data is pointing to that inflation wise, we've already hit the top. The top was in June 2022. According to the study. Whether this guy's right or not, I don't know. He's not an economist. I don't believe so. Neither am I. But again, you use data, you use logic, you use, the information provided with you. That's all somebody can do. Nobody has a crystal ball. Nobody can see the future. Something crazy might happen that's not real estate or inflation related that changes everything. So, definitely watch the video. Shameless plug. I'm not giving, I'm not affiliated with this guy and whatever, but this was a really good video to watch if you want to understand inflation, month-to-month inflation, kind of where we're going. He deep dives into everything. It's a 13-minute video, and you don't have to be a master of economics to understand it. He puts it just in general, people's terms, so anybody can understand it, including myself. So definitely check it out. So that's good news. That's what I wanted to talk about. We may have reached the peak of inflation. Things are going to start trending down in the middle of 2023. Hopefully, interest rates will start to retreat. I think next year's market is going to be great. right now we're in the cold weather months, and it's, historically not a busy time in real estate in Michigan. But I think springtime is going to be just fine for sellers and buyers. Buyers, you got a lot of things going for you right now. Sellers, I think if you stay put, wait to list until springtime, you'll do just fine as well. So that's all I got today. Definitely check out this video. If you got any questions, yeah, send them my way. I'll answer them as best I can. But yeah, definitely watch the video. It's a good video. So until next time, we'll catch you in December.